Is your spirit sore? This is the podcast you can't ignore. It's the badass broadcast. Feel the flame breaking the rules, rewriting the game.
Welcome back to the Badass Broadcast, where we keep it real, raw, and unapologetic as fuck. I am your host, favorite fire starter, and nervous system regulator, the Queen Lady T. In today's episode, as we continue the Queen Code series, we are talking about dating with discernment, not desperation. If you've ever looked back at a situation and thought, damn, the red flags were actually there, this episode is for you. Let's get into it.
To rise from the ashes, to take their share.
So let me give you a solid piece of advice. Red flag, run. Stop trying to love red flags green. They are red flags for a reason. Not pink flags, not maybe if I just love them enough flags. Red flags. And people really believe that if they just put in enough time, enough love, enough patience, they can turn red flags green. And if that worked out for you, congratulations. But most of the time, bullshit. And you end up bitter, resentful, regretful, pissed at yourself because you knew better. The signs were there and you ignored them. People say all the time, I didn't know. They were so good at pretending. They had me fooled. But did they really? Or did you just keep negotiating with what you already knew? Because everybody has access to intuition and discernment. You're not confused. You're just negotiating with your intuition. And that's why it's so important to love yourself before trying to love someone else. Because if you don't know what it feels like to be loved properly by you, you will accept anything that feels close enough. You will confuse attention for love. You'll confuse chemistry with alignment. You'll confuse potential with reality. And then you end up in situations where you're constantly trying to prove your worth instead of standing in it. When you love yourself, you're not out here begging to be chosen. You're choosing. And that changes everything. Because now it's not, do they like me? It's, do I even like this? Does this align with me? Does this feel safe? Or does it just feel familiar? And when you know who you are and what you're worth, anything that's not aligned with that doesn't feel right. Those red flags don't whisper, they scream. But if you're still dependent on someone else to make you feel loved, validated, or chosen, you will ignore everything just to keep what's in front of you. And let's talk about this I love hard narrative. Yes, we are going there again because a lot of people wear that like a badge of honor. But let me tell you, that's not always love. That's a trauma response. That's overgiving, overstaying, over-attaching, and calling it love. Because be honest, if you loved yourself that hard, what kind of bullshit would you stop tolerating? And let's talk about attachment. Because you're not actually attached to the person. You're attached to what you want it to be. The potential, the fantasy, the idea you created in your head. And then you're disappointed when reality doesn't match the story. And resentful because deep down, you know you ignored what's right in front of you. Detachment isn't cold. It's emotional self-respect. You can like someone without locking in. You can even love someone without locking in. And this is where the I love hard narrative gets people in trouble. Because you're trying to secure something before it's even been proven safe. You're quick to give more than what's being given, hoping it'll be returned. That's overextending yourself emotionally before someone has even earned access to you like that. And then when it doesn't work out, you feel drained, used, confused because you didn't build the connection slowly. You attached to it quickly. And then you called it love. And if you don't know the difference, you will keep calling attachment love. And a big part of the problem, we've been conditioned to believe that everything means something. He did this, so it must mean he likes me. She said that, so it must mean this is going somewhere. And we start creating these stories instead of paying attention to reality. Because people will show you exactly what something is if you stop trying to turn it into something else. But we've been taught by parents, by society, by religion, that relationships are something you hold on to, fight for, make work, no matter what. That struggle equals love. That if it's hard, it must be real. And that is one of the biggest bullshit lies we have been sold. Because love is not confusion. It's not inconsistency. Love is not you constantly trying to figure out where you stand. So what if you stop trying to control what the relationship is supposed to be and just let it show you what it is? No forcing, no chasing, no overanalyzing, just observation. Because when you release control, you gain clarity. And when you have clarity, you don't need to guess. You don't need to chase. You don't have to convince yourself of anything. You just see it for what it is, and you can decide accordingly. And I already know what some of you are thinking, but I don't know why I do that. That's just the way I am. No, it's not just the way you are. That's not your personality. That's not a character flaw. That's conditioning. Something somewhere taught you that you had to overgive, overprove, overattach to earn, keep, or not lose love. And so now you move like that automatically. You love like that automatically. You attach like that. Not because it's who you are, but because it's what you learned. But just because it feels natural doesn't mean it's healthy. It just means it's familiar. So instead of asking, why am I like this? Ask yourself, where did I learn this? Who showed me this? What made me believe that this is what love looks like? Because once you see that clearly, you can start choosing differently. You don't need to make it work. You need to see if it works. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Love yourself enough to walk away. Now let's get on the actual subject of dating for just a moment. Because I feel like a lot of people don't even understand what dating is anymore. Dating means you're single. Dating means you're gathering information. It does not mean you pick one person and immediately start pouring everything into them before you even know what it is. You don't have to throw your all into someone just because you went on a couple of dates. You don't owe anyone that. You're allowed to take your time. You're allowed to observe. You're allowed to decide. And even if you're choosing to date one person at a time, you still need to be paying attention. You still need discernment, because attachment will have you locking in before you even confirm if this is something worth locking into. This is why paying attention to red flags early matters, because catching it early saves you months, sometimes years of unnecessary lessons. If you see a red flag on the first date, that's not a sign to go on a second one and see if it gets better. That is your sign. You already know your non-negotiables. You already know your standards. So when something shows up that doesn't align with that, you don't negotiate with it. You don't explain it away. You don't try to understand it into being acceptable. You treat it like what it is, an exit sign. You don't need to make something work from the very beginning. You just need to see if it works. And if it doesn't, you move. And before I go, let me say this too, because I already know somebody rolling their eyes at me saying, oh, you're giving relationship advice and you don't even have a relationship. And you don't need to be in a relationship to understand relationships. That's the power of having a relationship with yourself. And I've been in relationships from the time I was 14 years old until I got divorced 3 years ago, one after another, because I didn't know how to stay single. So yeah, I think I'm plenty qualified on relationships. I'm single now by choice. I'm building something for me for a change. I don't have time or energy to pour into a relationship, and I'm not going to pretend I do. I'm free for the first time in my life, and let me be clear, I don't fear love. I'm not giving up on love. I'm just living my best life, free, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if you think there's something wrong with that, well, that's a whole other episode. We can talk about that one later. And because I'm in this space, I see clearly. I don't need to figure people out. I watch what they show me. I trust patterns, and I move accordingly. And the first red flag, I'm out. Stop making excuses for red flags, and you won't have to question whether you trust yourself. Slow down. Ask yourself, does this feel safe, or does this just feel familiar? Stop filling in the gaps for people. Let consistency and inconsistency speak for itself. Now let's take just a moment to come back into your body. Sit and relax your shoulders. Inhale through your nose, slow and deep. Exhale through your mouth. Again, inhale. I trust what I see. Exhale. I release what doesn't align. Inhale. I honor my standards. Exhale. I stop settling for less. And one more. Inhale. I choose myself. Exhale every single time. You don't need to make love work. You need to stop choosing what doesn't. Until next time, remember, my love, you are an unstoppable badass, worthy of everything your heart desires. Let's get it.
Feel the heat when I walk in. Bow down.
If this episode spoke to your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Like it, share it, send it to someone who needs a dose of badassery in their life. Want to be a guest on the show? Got a powerful story, message, or mission? Apply now at unstoppablebadass.me. If you're a seer, light worker, or spiritual badass who's done shrinking, step inside the fire and rise with us in Sacred Wildfire, my virtual queen circle. Feeling stuck or ready to break through? Book your free badass breakthrough session and let's uncover what's been holding you back. Clarity, power, momentum, all waiting on the other side. Ready to activate your healing gifts? Enroll in my Kundalini Reiki activation and attunement course. Step into or deepen your healer's journey with sacred energy work that transforms you from the inside out. Want to show some love? Donate or shop at buymeacoffee.com/The Queen Lady Tea, because your support helps me keep lighting fires and dropping truth. You can find all these links in the show notes, the description, or at unstoppablebadass.me. Thank you so much for rocking with me, and I'll catch you in the next episode of the Badass Broadcast.
It's the Badass Broadcast. Feel the flame breaking the rules, rewriting the game. Unapologetic.